Cowboy Coffee. Have you ever heard of it? Do you even know what it is? So basically, Cowboy Coffee is kind of a crude way of making coffee. It's basically you get a big kettle of boiling water and you put some coffee grounds in it, and it's strong and kind of gritty, and well, that might have worked on the frontier, but today I'm going to show you my version of Cowboy Coffee that's a little more refined. I call it urban Cowboy Coffee. And if you think I'm not cliched enough to do this, well, here it is. Are you ready to make some urban Cowboy Coffee? Giddy up. So in a world where there's a Starbucks on every corner and coffee machines can easily be had for $20 or less, you might be wondering, why would I make Cowboy Coffee? Well, the beauty of it is that you don't need a machine to make Cowboy Coffee, and it's actually really, really good. So you only need 3 tools to make Cowboy Coffee. First is a small pan, and if it's got a pour spout like this, even better. Next, you'll need just a small whisk, and then a small fine strainer, kind of like this one. And of course, optional is the silly hat. Now, the beauty of Cowboy Coffee is that you can basically make it anywhere. So if you're camping and you don't have electricity, you can make it there. And because you don't need a machine to make it, it's one less thing you have in the kitchen. So if you don't drink coffee very often, this is a good way of doing it. Now, I personally like making coffee this way because it's really strong and it's really good. It reminds me a little bit like a French press coffee, and there are some similarities in that the coffee isn't filtered through any sort of like paper, cone, or anything like that. So you get all those nice essential oils that gives the coffee a robust flavor. So that's the backstory. It only takes about 10 minutes or less to make. Let's make some urban Cowboy Coffee. Yeehaw! The first thing we're going to do is measure 12 ounces of water. And if you know anything about coffee, you know that actually the water makes a big difference. So use purified water if you have it. It really does help. So there's 12 ounces. Now this is going to be good for about 1 serving. Of course, if you're making it for a friend or want to double the batch, that's easy to do. But for now, we're just going to make 1 serving. So 12 ounces of cold water goes into our pan. And you can turn the heat to medium. Next, the coffee. Coarse or medium grind coffee works best for this. That allows a really good extraction. If you go too fine, you're going to be entering Turkish coffee territory. And well, Turkish coffee is awesome too, but we'll save that for another video. So for this, I'd like to use 3 tablespoons of coffee. If you want it even stronger, you can go 4, but for this initial batch and for this trial run for you, just go with 3 for the first time. So 1, 2, and 3. I like to keep my coffee in a vacuum seal container like this, by the way. It seems to keep it fresher longer. Okay, so our coffee and our grounds are in the water. Just kind of whisk it so everything gets nice and combined. You don't have to stand here and keep doing this. Just kind of whisk it initially. And this is over about medium-low heat. And all we're going to do is let this come up to a simmer and just kind of stir it occasionally. So for this pot, it takes usually anywhere between 5 and 7 minutes. So just kind of let it come up. We don't necessarily want this to boil. We just kind of want to let this come up to a simmer. That's where you have these little bubbles just gently breaking the surface. So let it go and just kind of whisk it occasionally. Our coffee's only been heating for a couple of minutes now, and do you see how this beautiful crema is already forming on the top? That is some really good stuff, and this is exactly what you want to see. So just let this keep going, and again, we're just kind of whisking it occasionally, but this is exactly what you want to see. I wish you could smell this, by the way. It smells so good. If you like the aroma of coffee, this lets out a really nice aroma when you're doing this. It's gonna be great. Okay, and now we are simmering. So see, we have these bubbles just kind of gently breaking the surface. This is a beautiful simmer. So once you've reached this stage, let this go for about 1 minute. I did turn my heat to low here, and we're just going to kind of keep it at a simmer. We're going to let this go for about another minute, okay? And just again, kind of whisk every once in a while. Now this is where my method differs from traditional Cowboy Coffee. In traditional Cowboy Coffee, you would just kind of let the grounds settle on their own, and there's different ways of doing that. Some methods, they pour cold water in to help the grounds settle. There's even another one that calls for like using eggshells. Well, we're not doing any of that stuff here. And in traditional Cowboy Coffee, even when you do those methods and you pour, you tend to get some grit. You tend to get some of those grounds. What I do is I strain the coffee, and that gives you the nice, robust richness of Cowboy Coffee, but without the grit. So here's how to do that. Great, so turn the heat off of the pot, grab your fine mesh strainer, and this is where if you have a little saucepan with a lip, it really helps. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna put this directly over our cup, and we are just going to pour. And most of the grounds do actually stay in the pan, but again, with this sieve, that's going to catch any grounds that try to come out. Guys, this smells so good. So here's what's left. These are the grounds, and then a few got caught right in here in this strainer. And see, all that we are left with is an amazingly strong cup of joe. So obviously from here, you just prepare the coffee as you would any normal cup. If you like cream or sugar or sweetener or whatever. I'm kind of a traditionalist. I just like a little bit of sugar. I use brown sugar in my coffee. So I'm just going to do about a tablespoon of sugar. Mix it in. Let's give it a try. That's a good cup of coffee. And again, it's strong, and because you're not using a paper filter or paper strainer, you get all those oils that you would otherwise miss out on. So in that way, it's kind of like a French press coffee. That's good. Hey, by the way, those spent coffee grounds, don't put them down your drain. If you have a garden or a planter, they work great in that. So there you go. That's how to make my Urban Cowboy Coffee in 10 minutes or less. Hey, give this a try. Let me know. Did you like this? Was it strong enough for you? Tell me in the comments below. Hey, if there's anything you want to learn how to cook, put those in the comments below as well. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do so. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on I Want to Cook.